What's up, everybody out there in podcast land? Hello, hello, hello. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Play the Game podcast. We really hope you guys have been enjoying the show and have been listening to all the episodes. Each of them have so far had tons of great insight and value, and we are incredibly excited to continue to bring that to you guys. And this episode, Road to Pro, is inspired by the idea of trying to explain to you guys what it takes to make it to the top. If it's working your way through the ranks, trying to get better at the game, make your way up through the divisions, and eventually chase a professional career, this is the episode for you. Tyler and I talk to each other about our personal path getting to the pro division and really dive into some important topics about what you guys should be doing and all the hard work and sacrifice and things that it takes to make it to the top of the game, and not only the paintball game, but any game you're playing, whether it's business, relationships, paintball, you name it. Work ethic and things that go into being the best or rising to the top are all pretty transcendent. So without further ado, we hope you guys enjoy the show. We'll see you in there.
That was an insane inside move by Marcello. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon.
Great shot by all the guys. So Tyler Harmon saved that game.
He came out with 2 wins. Marcello Margot was on fire.
What's up, everybody? What's up, Ty?
Hey, yo.
How's it going?
Hey, buddy. Doing great, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too, as usual, man. Look, everybody, we are so excited to talk to you guys this time about a very important topic that a lot of people ask us about when we travel around to teach clinics, when we're competing overseas, whatever it is. Players want to know this. Players are very interested. They want to know how they can progress through the ranks and become a professional paintball player. So we decided to dedicate this entire episode to that. And, throughout the episode, we're going to also share insight and share our stories of how we got to the point that we're at in the game of paintball, because I think, it's important. It's something we want people to be very excited about. We want people to be able to share the same passions and dreams that we pursued. And,
It is, man.
Yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
long journey too. You get ready for the climb. It's a long journey, boys and girls.
Get ready for the climb. It's definitely a long journey.
Yeah.
But without wasting any more time, man, I say we jump into the subject. But I do think it's important before we can start giving advice. I think we should kind of share a little bit of background of how we got to where we're at in the game, because, man, that's incredibly important, right?
Yeah, totally, man. And it was probably around 2001 or so when I made my moves towards a pro team, but I started around 2000 and then practiced with a team from Modesto, from
Shout out to Modesto.
Yeah, baby. Shout out to Modesto. Twisted Paintball, Twisted Factory. That's where I got my start in the Central Valley of California. Huge paintball scene out there at the time. That's where the Los Angeles Ironmen would practice a lot, and also Dynasty would come up and play. You also had, later on you had Excessive that was based out of there as well. But in my early days, I was playing with Twisted Kids, and then played local tournaments. And really that was like the hook factor right there for me, right? Like just being 11 years old, playing paintball and, running around with your friends. And then, beginning to take it more seriously and take things to the next level. And I was able to get on the factory team, Twisted Factory. And then we had this field out in Manteca. Shout out to Manteca. It's in the valley there, this little town. It's like all agricultural. And they had a water park there. And Bob Long's Assassins, the Oakland Assassins, would come out there and practice. So that's how I climbed the ranks into pro. And really, it just started out by starting a 3-man team. That's how it all started. We started a 3-man team. We did pretty good. We won a couple tournaments and just progressed from there and was able to make it onto the factory team. Did well enough on the factory team that I caught the attention of some pro players and got a tryout for Bob Long's Assassins. But it's much more in depth than that. But it is how it was birthed, was just through the love of the game and playing just 3-man, having fun out there with my buddies. and then it just progressed.
Dude, that is actually really funny. We've never talked about this at all, but that's exactly how my career started as well. From three man. Now, three man's not as popular as now as it used to be, but three man back when you and I started. So I started playing paintball in 1999, which
Over
you said
20 years, man.
you started in 2000, right?
Yeah, 2000.
So I started playing in 1999. We're right there, same era of
Yeah,
paintball, and three man was the beginner circuit,
yeah,
right? Like that's
that
what it
was where
was
you started.
exactly. Yeah, 100%. So, well, let's back up a little bit. So 1999, I start playing paintball.
Yeah.
The way I got into the game is pretty funny. My older cousin was a big time troublemaker. He would go around and cause a whole bunch of ruckus, but he had a paintball gun and. He used to use it to graffiti signs. It's a full
Oh,
disclaimer, which is terrible. I absolutely
it's such a
despise
bad look
that.
for paintball.
Ye
Yeah,
Oh, it's horrible. It's literally the epitome of what like, when I see things on the news, and I'm sure you do too,
you're like, you're ruining this for us.
you're ruining it. We hate it, so we don't condone that whatsoever, but that's how I found out about a paintball gun. So,
Yeah,
I remember, my parents had split up. I was living with my mom at the time, and my mom was always much more lenient. Like I could convince her to get me, pretty much whatever I wanted. It was like, you know, she
whatever you
just
need,
she,
Marcello.
she just wanted to buy. She just wanted to like, if it would shut me up for a little bit, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
get it for him.
And she didn't have a lot of money, so we're at Walmart and doing some regular shopping, and I'm
Yeah.
down the aisle and I see a plastic paintball gun. And it's called the Stingray. You remember the Stingrays?
Oh yeah, the Stingray.
Yeah, the Stingrays.
That's a hitter right
So
there.
little pump gun. Yeah, 100%. So $25 gun.
Yep.
And I bring it to her. I'm like, "Hey, mom, can I please get this?" And she at first said, "No way." She goes, "Your dad will kill me." My dad, much older than my mom, old school Italian, pretty
Yeah.
strict, pretty traditional.
Mobster. The mobster
No
type.
way was he gonna let me like have a paintball gun. So, anyway, I remember I totally bartered and manipulated my mom. I remember making this agreement with her. I was hesitant to share, but whatever. I'm going to share with you guys. It's her. She would always have a really bad choice of boyfriends when I was younger. Whether they were drug dealers, no joke. People in and out of jail. Like this is real talk.
Life.
Uh, Abusive boyfriends that were terrible, and I would always fight with them. From a young age, I was outspoken. I wouldn't really take stuff that I didn't think was fair, and so anyway, I never got along with the boyfriends. And so we're at Walmart, and I remember making this deal. I said, "Mom, if you buy me this paintball gun, I won't argue with your boyfriend for 2 months." And I'm like 9 years old. How funny is this? And my mom's like, "Oh, okay." My mom's great. I love her. Her and I to this day, like we have a good relationship. There were some complications and issues growing up, but look, who doesn't face that? Some kind of adversity. It's all good. But in any case, she bought me the paintball gun. Right. And it's so funny because my dad gets all the credit for me playing professional paintball because he's what really nurtured it. But it actually never would have happened if it weren't for my mom.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she buys me the paintball gun, and it's so funny because we were going from Walmart. She was dropping me off at my dad's house. And so I show up to my dad's house and I have this paintball gun.
What the hell is this?
Yeah. And I bring it in and I have the gun behind my back. Right. And I go, "Dad, what would you say if I got a paintball gun?"
Oh,
And
boy.
he goes, "Fuck, you better not." And I go, Dad. And I show it to him. He gets pissed off. He takes it from me, rips it out of my hands, and sends me in my room. I'm like, "Oh man, that didn't work out so well." So like an hour later, he comes in and he goes, "Hey, Marcello, why don't you come out here for a second?" And I say, "Okay." So I go out there, and he has everything, out of the plastic. It's all aired up. There's little CO2 cartridges.
Nice.
Everything's like ready to go. And he goes, "Hey, let's shoot this thing in the backyard. Let's like see what this is all about."
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Okay, sweet. Let's do it." So I go into the backyard and we're shooting paintballs. And I'll never forget. He was like, "Hey, just be careful. If you shoot it off the tree, it could ricochet and hit you in the eye."
Yeah, take your eye out.
I'm like, we didn't know.
Christmas movie.
We had no clue. So anyway, we start shooting in the backyard and we have a blast. Like it's so much fun to shoot.
That's awesome.
So we
Nothing was the same from that point on.
yeah, no, we have a good time shooting, and we say, "Okay, cool." He comes back in, he gets on the computer and he goes, did you know that it's a game you could go play? Like, do you want to go play paintball this weekend? I said, no, I had no idea. So
Whoa.
I said, yeah, let's go. So that Saturday we went out to this field called Borderland Paintball. It's, used to be here in
Borderland.
San Diego. That's where like some of the original NPPL events back in the day were at.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, like Borderland was,
I do remember hearing about
it's an
Borderland.
OG field, truly. Like they had one of the best mounds fields in the world. It was just an original paintball field. So we go out, and this story is great. I love telling this story because I went out and played. My dad was just there to watch. He wasn't there to play. And he was standing on the sidelines. And this is how he tells the story, which is so amazing, right? He's standing on the sidelines. The game starts, and we're playing, and all of a sudden he gets shot just because he's standing on the sidelines.
Oh, one.
Yeah, he gets shot, and he goes, "Oh, wow, that hurt." And so he goes, "I got to get out there and protect my boy." So
Yeah.
he went and rented gear, and then came out and played so that we could have
Yeah.
a day of paintball
Wink,
together.
wink. I gotta protect my kid out there.
Yeah,
Go
wink,
have
wink.
some fun.
Go have some fun. So he came out, and he rented equipment, came out, and we had the time of our lives that day. We had
Oh,
so much
absolutely,
fun.
man.
And we left the field and literally said, "Look, from now on, this is every single weekend we're gonna go play." And
Yeah,
we it built an amazing bond between my dad and I. We
I love
started
that.
to go every single weekend, and we just started to go play every single weekend. It was something that we looked forward to. It was something that we 100% fell in love with. And it's funny because I was always so competitive as a kid. My dad used to tell stories of whether it was Mario Kart on Nintendo or
Yeah.
Taekwondo. I was in Taekwondo from 4 years old. I had the Grandmaster lived in our house. He came straight over from
Wow.
Korea, and my dad actually owned a dojo. So
No way.
um, yeah, so the grandmaster that he had hired came over straight from Korea and lived with us, until he
That's
got
rad.
integrated and was able. Well, it wasn't rad when I was a kid because I would go, I trained
Yeah,
5,
what's
6
up?
nights a week. Yeah, if I would talk back to my parents at all, I swear to God, his name was Master Yoon. He'd say, "Marcello, son, upstairs."
Yeah.
Fuck. I knew it was happening. So we would go upstairs, and he would have the bamboo sticks, and he would make me put out my hands. He would smack me in the hands. And if I would like move my hands, or if I would cry or anything that showed emotion in response to him hitting my hands, he would make me do it again. So it like taught me this
Dude,
insane
a whole different
discipline.
era, huh?
A whole different era, man.
To jail, do not collect $200 today.
100%. So yeah, do not dude, yeah, 100%. So, like such a different time, but I always had this really competitive drive, and when we started playing paintball, that's really all it was. Is I wanted to go to the field and not get shot. I wanted to
Yeah.
be like the best one on my walk-on team. That's how it started. As it evolved, we kind of transferred fields. That field closed down. We moved to Velocity Paintball Park in Ramona, San Diego, California, and that was when paintball really took off for me, and I realized you could do it as a profession because there were so many pros at the time. Velocity was the biggest field in Southern California, really. Like SC Village was there, but Velocity had a lot of the pro fields, pro teams. Dynasty, Ironman, Infamous, Avalanche. They would all come and practice there. That was where I met. Davey Williamson was a big person. I have one of his first jerseys with the Ironman because I would always be out at the local field and I would see these pro players and I would just go up and be like, "Hey, can I play some points with you guys?" I would always bug them,
Yeah.
can I, whatever it is. And
That's how
I'll
you
just,
get in there.
that's how you do it. You're right. I would just sit there and say, "Look, I'll wait as long as it takes. If I could just play a point with you, I'd be stoked. If I could just watch, I'm also stoked."
Yeah, you got to play people that are better than you, man. You got to get beat down for a while. I know when I started with Oakland, I got my ass kicked for years.
Oh yeah.
Just getting
Oakland, my
pummeled by
goodness.
these grown men. I was 14 years old, just getting beat down. But that's how you learn,
Yeah, absolutely. At this point, I'm like 11, maybe 12.
Yeah.
No, I'm like 11 years old.
But you
And
get the hands hit, so you're used to the beatings. So
yeah,
you're ready.
I was definitely used to the beatings, that's for sure. And so then Todd Martinez was one of the next players that I met, which, shout out to Todd. Todd and I
Cash
to this
money.
day,
Let's go, baby.
I've got so much respect for him. And Probably more. I probably have more respect for him than he knows. I don't think he realizes how much I remember the times when I was a kid and how cool he was to me when he would see me at the field and how inspiring he was just to see that. But shout out to him because it really did have an impact. And so like I saw all these these pro teams and pro players, and I go, that's what I want to do. So I started my own 3-man team.
There we go.
Called Die Kids.
Yeah.
And we won every beginner event that year. I remember it was a 3-man series called Best in the West. We played at like 3 different fields and we won every single event. It was me and a couple buddies. And, I was the captain. I was the youngest on the team. And so it's so funny. I look back because I was such a brat. I was a little shithead. Like imagine me now, but
you were.
But worse. Like it's I'm still the same person. It was so funny.
Worse.
But worse. The thing is like I knew the right things to do. I just did not know the right way to tell people, like I knew that I would always get upset when people wouldn't show up to practice, or if from 11, 12 years old, if people were late to practice, I'd be pissed off. And like, I would just take it, so bad. But I had such a bad way of portraying that to people that were older than me. I had like 15, 16-year-olds on the team. They don't want to listen to a 12-year-old. Are you kidding me? But anyway, like that's how I started, and we won every tournament that year. We had like legitimate practices. We'd work on fundamentals and drills, and we were all disciplined. We would talk during the week. And I just fell in love with the passion of getting the grind. Yeah, the passion of getting better at the game, 100%. So from there, it's so funny. My career took off really quickly after I joined San Diego Aftermath, but it's funny that I almost did not join them. So at 13 years old, I remember Die Kids were trying to make a name for ourselves. We actually had a sponsorship from Die. It was a little sponsorship, right? We've got some free jerseys.
Helps.
Yeah,
it all helps.
And we had plans to go play national events and all of this stuff. And right before the season started, I remember I get a phone call at my house. And, I didn't have cell phones at this time. I'm like 13 years old. 13 years old. Yeah, we had a house phone. And my dad answers, and then he brings me the phone. He goes, Mike Hinman's on the phone for you. And I just remember thinking,
nice.
What? One, how does he have, he played for Dynasty at the time. This is a well-known household name. Why does he have my phone number? I was like, what the hell's going on? So I answer the phone and he says, hey, I'm putting together this kids team, San Diego Aftermath, and we are going to be a Division III team, which at the time, Division III was
Mike Hinman.
Shout out to Hinge, dude, for sure. Division III was the lowest division you could play in at the time. So that's like the D5 these days, right? D6 even. And he goes, and we're going to, the team's very serious. We're going to practice a lot every single weekend, 2 days a weekend. It's going to be a nonstop grind, and you guys are going to have an opportunity to practice against Dynasty, unlimited paint. It's on a platter for you.
Yeah.
Can you believe that I wasn't sure if I should take that opportunity or not? I remember I said, Mike, yeah, that's a great opportunity. Like I gotta get back to you. And I hung up, and I remember I was so conflicted because Die Kids was my team. It was the team that I started, that I was building, and I really had high hopes, and I wanted to take us to the pro ranks. I wanted us to that was my dream.
I love that.
But after some thought, I realized, okay, don't be stupid, and I took the opportunity to go play with Aftermath, and it was transcendent to my career.
I'll never forget playing for Aftermath. That was the best.
No way. Yeah, exactly, dude. Like such a legendary organization as far as not necessarily in the professional division. They're not a legendary pro team. They won a few pro tournaments. You and I got second place on Aftermath together when we were in Chicago, 2009. They won as a pro team in Jacksonville in 2008. But other than that,
Moose, baby, Moose. Let's go.
Aftermath hasn't won any pro tournaments. So they're more of a legendary franchise in the sense of building up young talent. And look,
and a brand. That brand is powerful.
If all of the Aftermath players stayed with them, it would be a top level pro team today, winning world championships, right? Everyone just kind of got picked apart to different teams. You got Alex Goldman, Rainey Stanzak, Dalton Vanderbilt, Tyler Harmon, Bobby Aviles, myself. I mean, who am I missing? I know I've got to be missing some people, but like there's some top level paintball players that came up through the Aftermath camp that if we stuck together would be a dominant force for sure.
Absolutely.
But what it's legendary for, in my opinion, and it really paved the way for divisional organizations, was the hard work that it takes to get to the top. In Division 3, we won just about every event that year. We won the series title, won the World Cup, bumped up to D1, won our first 7-man D1 tournament, and then Mouse and I actually left the team after the first 7-man tournament in Tampa, and that's when we got picked up by the Ironmen, which was one of the hardest decisions of our career. I remember we were actually at a baseball game in San Diego. Mouse and I were hanging out at a baseball game with one of our other teammates, Ronnie from Aftermath.
Yeah, Ronnie. Yeah.
When we got the call from Oliver Lang.
Yeah.
Oliver and Billy Wing and Dave Youngblood, Dave's the owner of Die, Billy Wing, legendary Ironman player, and and Oliver had just signed his contract with the Ironmen. So they were trying to rebuild the Ironmen, and Oliver was so used to playing against me and Mouse on Aftermath. When he was on Dynasty, that was our sparring partner with Aftermath. We would get to the field super early. We would set up the field for them, and they would give us some points and beat us up, and apparently Oliver took that to the Ironman and remembered us and said, look, if we're going to rebuild a team, there's these 2 young kids. We got to bring them with us.
Yeah.
So
just
dude,
a little note for all you kids, go out there and just, I'm telling you, pester the pros, make them play you. They're going to remember you, and Absolutely. It could manifest into something like this story right here.
Absolutely, man. And so, Oliver and Dave Youngblood, they call us. And again, we're at a baseball game with one of our other teammates, and we're like, we get this
He's
news.
like, hey, wait, what's that phone call all about, Ronnie?
Yeah. Well, we told Ronnie, we're like, Ronnie, damn, we just got a spot on the Ironman with Oliver and like all the other legends that were
Hopefully
on the team.
He's proud of you,
He was actually, he was pretty like, man, obviously I don't want this to happen, but I think you guys got to take it.
Yeah.
Mouse and I were unsure. We talked about it for a couple days, and we finally decided to make the move. A hard decision because Aftermath was on their way to becoming a pro team as well.
And those are like, it was a brotherhood. It was just different at that time.
It was different. It was a brotherhood for sure. But it's also, how can you pass up an opportunity to play with Oliver and Billy and Nicky Cuba, all those guys at that time, and get a professional?
You can't pass that up.
Right.
Very
tough. So that propelled us and launched us into our professional careers.
Yeah.
And, the rest is history. Obviously there's many more stories to go, down that road once we turn pro, but look, it was all about the quest to get there. And it was about this constant pursuit of trying to be better, and all of the sacrifice that we made every single weekend and actually continue to make to be a professional athlete. That's something that I don't think a lot of players understand, which is the whole reason we wanted to have this episode about how to, make your way through the ranks and how to get yourself noticed by a pro team. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And actually not just a pro team, but maybe just a better team, whether it's
Absolutely.
a better team in your division. Often a question that I get is, hey, how can I get noticed at a tryout? Well, like Tyler said, the best way to do it is go there, pester the coach, whoever it is, and say, hey, what do you want from me? What can I do better? How can I improve? And just truly be attentive to getting better. It's going to show them, it's going to show the coach, it's going to show the team that you're trying out for that you're someone that they can work with. And that's so big in sports. That's what every coach wants, right?
That's half the battle, being able to work together with a player, right? So you're out there showing the initiative, and they're going to want to pick that up. They want that in their organization. They want the hunger. If you show that hunger, it's going to give you that much more points on that guy's sheet, showing that this guy wants it. I want him on my organization. He's going to provide for the upbringing of this team, Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also, look, when you go to a tryout, right? And this is funny because Mike did offer me the spot, but it actually wasn't quite a spot because I still had to go try out. So
you got to earn it. Absolutely. You got to earn this stuff.
I'll never forget my tryout for San Diego Aftermath Division 3 team when I was like 13 years old was against the LA Ironmen. In 2005.
Yeah.
So we show up to SE Village, and actually I was living with a with one of my best friend's families at the time. You've met the dad, Dan. Shout out to
Yep.
Dan. Dan's the man.
Yo, Dan.
But I was going through some personal stuff, and I was living with a friend at the time, and he also played paintball. Shout out to him too, Kev. He passed away a couple years ago, but him and I were in the game together, right? And we went to this tryout to Aftermath together, and I played absolutely horrible. I'll never it was probably the worst day of paintball I've ever had. I think that like I'm having a chance to play against this pro team, Ironman team that I've looked up to. I've got this great opportunity. I just played so freaking bad.
Oh man.
Man, it was terrible. But I
Yeah.
remember I kept on like I was asking the right questions and I had a good attitude. I wasn't blowing up and I was like, oh, it's okay. We're
Yeah.
playing against a pro team. And I believe that carried weight with Mike. He realized that I wanted to work through it and he realized that I wanted to try to get better no matter how bad I played. And he saw young, raw talent. He saw like, I'm not sure what he saw. I've never actually talked to him about what he saw in me that day or that, in the weeks leading up to that made him want to give me a chance. But I had a horrible tryout and he still gave me a chance to be on the team. And, I think that's great. And you know what? I left a big important part of this out, and I'm so sorry, guys, for our listeners. But the reason Mike even knew who I was and knew to call my house is because we had this field that was open during the week called Adrenaline Paintball. It was it wasn't an indoor field, but it had this netting around it, and it was in an ice arena. So it was like
Nice.
an outdoor roller rink.
Yeah.
And it was a bunch of gravel in the roller rink, so it sucked to play on. It was like these big
Whoa.
rocks. I mean, these rocks were the size, they were bigger than quarters, right? And so
Yeah.
you could go every Wednesday night to Adrenaline Paintball and play. And this was actually before Mike Kimnon was on Dynasty. He was on Aftershock, and he had a couple of his buddies, like Mike Coda and Fish. Shout out to Fish. Rest in peace to him, another, shock player, paintball player that we've lost. But in any case, I would go out there every single Wednesday and just hope to get on games. And that's how Mike noticed me. And so I remember he did tell me, he said, look, it was always your work ethic that I was appealed to. You didn't have a good tryout, but you were at the field every day you could.
That's right.
If you could be at the field, you were there. And that's what Mike wanted. Mike wanted
if the field's open, you should be there. Yeah.
Yeah,
totally,
I agree.
Man.
Mike wanted players that were willing to work. I remember I would do anything I could to catch a ride with somebody, to get to the field. If I had to work at their parents' store, whatever it was, I did it so I could get a little bit of gas money or get a ride or anything. I did so many things just to get to the paintball field, on a Wednesday or on a Saturday or on a Sunday.
And that's why you have made it to where you're at, because you took those steps, man. And that's what it takes to climb the ranks. You have to take those steps of initiative. If the paintball field's open, you got to do whatever you got to do to get to the paintball field. If it's really your dream to play pro paintball, to travel around and do, the types of things that we've been so blessed and fortunate enough to do, see the world, play tournaments all over the world, and play on the biggest stages of paintball imaginable, you've got to put in the work. It's not going to come easy, and you got to show that work ethic, and it's going to pay dividends in the long run. The more you show up, the harder you work to get that paint to show up at the field. Whatever you have to do, just do the grit and grind, because it will pay off on that climb to get there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's so many people don't understand the sacrifice it takes to become a professional athlete. And it's obviously, you could argue that it's more difficult in other sports, and people like to say that paintball is not there, but you know what? It is, and it's getting there. And that's like what we have worked so hard for, is to bring the sport to the next level. And now you're seeing it get to that point where you have to be an athlete, you have to train, you have to work hard. And I remember
you have to. Yeah.
Growing up, I mean, I gave up pretty much every single weekend of my life,
me too.
I don't look at it as I gave it up. I don't look at it as I sacrificed, because to be honest, I would have rather been at the paintball field. That's where I wanted to be. That's why it was fun. Like
if I wasn't at the paintball field, something would be wrong. I would not feel good. I had to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like I didn't want to go to the parties. I didn't care. I truly did not. I've got one friend from high school, Gino. Gino's one of my long time. Yeah. Shout out to G.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm super proud of him. He just he's a musician. He's really talented. He's one of the best lyricists that I've ever come across. As far as like writing, he's so good. And he he's a little lazy, but he's got all the talent. And he finally
Gino, let's go, baby.
in this quarantine, he finally has released some songs on SoundCloud. I'm really
Nice.
pumped. So yeah, shout out to him. But I hope he does well. But he's like the only one. I've got one other buddy. One of my friends, JT. But really, they're like the only two that I've kept in touch with because
Yeah.
I disconnected from everybody, in high school. I just totally went a separate direction. At 15, I turned pro and I was traveling around the world. I went to my first international event at 17 years old. Kids were getting excited for prom and I was excited to go to Portugal to play paintball.
Yeah.
Like I didn't care
Yeah.
about prom. I didn't
It
go
was
to prom.
it was different. It was just
Yeah,
a completely different game. Yeah.
totally. I didn't go to homecoming. I didn't go to prom. I played high school sports in freshman year. I was on the football team as a like third string tight end. I really was just there for the fitness aspect of it. I did wrestling in high school. Wrestling I was pretty good at, but still it was just more to be in shape than anything else.
Yeah.
I wasn't very passionate about it. Paintball was my thing, and I was using these other sports to stay fit. And I sacrificed all of those things that kids feel are so important. But I'll tell you what, when you're chasing a dream, when you're chasing a passion, when you're chasing something that you truly want to do, those things aren't actually sacrifices. They're just
Proper
irrelevant.
steps.
They're
Yeah.
irrelevant.
Yeah.
You are doing the things that you want to do to better you for the things that you want to be better at. And so paintball had always been that passion for me. And you know what? Maybe paintball's not that passion for you and you don't want to put all that into it. That's totally fine. But you have to have something that is that, whether it's a wife or a family that you want to, do that with, or a business career, whatever it is, you have to have that mindset. We talk about mindset in one of our last episodes, but it's so important to have that
It all
mindset that,
correlates. Yeah.
it does. Like when you want to do something, you have to make sure you do everything you can to do it. So I was willing to risk it all for paintball from a young
That's
age.
it.
I knew I was either going to work in the industry and be like I remember the first thing I wanted to do was a graphic designer for Dye.
Nice.
I thought that was going to be something that I was going to do. And then I realized, oh no, maybe a professional athlete, then teaching.
No, I'll just be one of the best players on their team and wear the gear that the designer made.
that
sounds better.
That did sound better. After some time, I realized that was the better option.
Yeah, that's my path right there.
I like it. But dude, paintball was always it. It was always it. I was always
I've never seen anything else but paintball, right? Like since I was 11 years old, there was nothing that was cooler to me than gearing up and going and bashing heads and having fun at the paintball field, getting shot up, shooting the paint and having a good time. That was, like you said, it wasn't so much a sacrifice. All the other stuff was irrelevant. It didn't even matter because I had blinders on and all I could see was paintball. And I know that was the same for you. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%, dude. I mean, it's a game that demands all of your attention and can teach you so much if you allow it to, right? Because you and I are in the same boat where we got into the game at such a young age, right?
Yeah.
We had this unique opportunity to be around a bunch of older people. So from a very young age, I was constantly around people that were 5, 10, 15 years older than me.
Same with me.
Exactly. Same. I was always the youngest on the team. And still you and I are actually kind of older on Dynasty, but we're still like the younger ones.
Yeah.
And that shaped so much of my life because I would go back and hang out with, friends and this is partially what, made me not carry on many friendships from high school. Only the, very select few. I go back and it's like, man, we just don't relate on many things. Like stuff that you guys think is relevant isn't actually relevant. It's pretty childish, It's
when you're getting gamed up from adults and learning real adult knowledge, and then you go back and you're like, huh, this is interesting stuff. So we're very gifted and fortunate to have those kind of insights because it helped us. And I don't think that it killed our adolescence or anything like that, but it just gave us more of a in-depth insight into the future, into what is really important and how we can best, navigate life and be the best versions of ourselves. which is a spectacular thing.
Oh yeah, dude. I don't think it killed our adolescence at all, man. I mean,
No, it
look,
heightened it. Playing
there's
paintball, it was
yeah,
crazy.
there's some things. Again, I look back at him. I look at some of my friends like Gino and stories he has with his high school friends of,
Yeah.
prom, and I keep bringing up prom. I don't know why. It's not even that cool, but just high
You
school
missed
era.
it. There was a
High,
girl, and you
high,
missed it.
high. Dang, I had a high school sweetheart that broke my heart.
Oh
Oh,
no.
I was friend zoned. I was friend zoned so hard, dude. I remember she lived down the street from me. She came to our school over the summer of 8th grade. Her name was, well, I'm not gonna give her a shout out. Again, she knows who she
Oh, come
is.
on.
We, you know, yeah, I totally had this high school sweetheart that broke my heart. So I guess it wasn't much of a high school sweetheart. It's more of a one-ended
Yeah, high
crush.
school break heart.
I did a bunch of sweet things for her. Asked her to one dance, got turned down, never cared to go to another dance again. I really just said whatever. I'm gonna focus all of my energy and efforts onto paintball,
Smart
and
man.
that's really what I did. I truly
Dude, she
dove.
saved your career. She saved your career, dude.
Could be. However,
Yeah.
I don't think that if I went to that dance with her, it would have ruined my paintball career. So shout out if she's out
Yeah.
there and
Stay
listening.
strong out there, dudes.
You didn't make or break me, okay?
Yeah.
No, but
Stay strong, dude.
it's just funny. Yeah, it's funny because growing up in a it's funny to call it like a paintball world, but it really is because every single one of my friends, even my closest friends, made fun of me for playing paintball. I would show up to middle school Halloween days in my paintball gear, and I just was like made fun of for it. I was like, you guys don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? I love this game. It's so cool. And they just laughed. Oh, you play paintball? Like, it's such a funny thing.
It's crazy you say that. A kid came to my door when I was playing pro paintball. I was like 16, 17 years old, wearing my jersey and like had me sign a pod. I don't know. It was the craziest story ever, but shout out to all the Halloween paintball players
What?
out there. Don't stop. Yeah. Don't stop wearing paintball outfits.
That's
Yeah.
super awesome, dude.
I was like,
No,
are you
I
kidding
just
me? And it was impromptu. He didn't, it wasn't like on purpose.
Yeah.
It was just unreal.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like,
That's incredibly
mind blown.
cool, dude.
Yeah.
That's incredibly cool. I really
Yeah.
dig that.
So shout
But,
out to
yeah,
all
man,
the
it's-
Halloween paintball players.
Yeah, shout out to the Halloween paintball players. And again, it just goes back to like sacrifice for whatever it is that you enjoy, I had
It's
my
the
little baby
climb,
heart broken.
Yeah.
I had my little baby heart broken. I was put in the friend zone and I didn't really care too much because I had paintball. But
That's
again, it was
right.
so
She'll
easy
always
to
be
like. I
Paintball.
think
Never.
I'm pretty sure. I think she's married, and actually, I think she has a kid now. We're getting old, Ty. I'm one of the
Yeah.
few that don't have kids anymore. But
It's coming for you. Watch out.
It is funny. It is funny because growing up, all of those things again, the dances, the football games, the parties,
Yeah.
I just didn't participate in. I wasn't around. I didn't care to be in them. I didn't care to show up. I just it got to a point where I wasn't even I wasn't even invited either. Like my friends kind of stopped hitting me up, and we'd keep in touch every now and then, and that's why I was able to weed out all the friends that I didn't need. I made so many friends through paintball that have become brothers. I mean, look at you.
Yeah.
You and I have become best friends through this game, and it's honestly more of a family thing. But
That's right.
you create so many of those types of relationships because of the game, and that's so special. And people from school I just grew apart from. We just didn't have much in common anymore. Once I started traveling and I'm hanging around with these older guys that show you the world in a different way. Like they just show you a more mature way to look at things.
Yeah.
It changes everything. So going back, we just I didn't connect with many people my age. And so, there were a few friends.
You were focused, man, on the climb. You were focused on climbing the ranks and doing what you knew you wanted to do. And there was nothing that was going to get in the way of you accomplishing that. That's all that was.
That's it. That's it, dude. Yeah. There was so much focus on what I wanted to do that people that didn't agree with it or didn't think that it was possible, I didn't even really want to let them in my life.
Later.
It was like, yeah, adios. All right. If you don't believe in my dream, my passion, then why should I believe in you as a friend? Doesn't make any sense to me. You want to surround yourself with people that support you always.
Yeah. Boost, baby, all
Yeah,
day.
boost, totally boost. And then if
Yeah,
nobody wants to support you, then
I'll
go on
boost
your own and
myself.
do it and do it. Exactly.
Yeah,
Boost yourself, baby.
yeah.
So yeah, it was a long road of sacrifice and hard work to get to the pro division. And to be honest, it was also a lot of, look, I was really lucky, so were you, in the geographical
That's
location we
right.
were born, right? Like that makes a
Yeah,
difference.
it does.
Someone who is extremely admirable in where they are now in the professional world is Kyle Spica. I admire his story because he came from, not a heavy paintball town, North
No, they had
Carolina,
Trauma out there. That was their local crew was Trauma.
which is big, dude. But look, Trauma died in 2006. They weren't a team anymore,
Yeah,
so there was no like, there was
no.
nowhere for him to really
Kyle
go.
Kyle's the
Kyle,
definition of grit and going where paintball is. If you want to be the best
absolutely,
paintball player, you got to go where the paintball's at. He didn't sit
yeah,
back and say, "Oh, there's nothing here for me. I guess I'll just, throw in the towel and paintball is done for me." No, he got off his ass and went and chased the dream and left everything behind and moved out to California and played for the paintball team of his dreams. He got on Dynasty, he got on countless other teams. And that was because he had that driving passion to go to where the paintball is. If it's not in your area, you got to go where it is. That's how you're going to be successful.
yeah, Ty, absolutely. I remember at the time it was, oh man, when did he move out to California? It was like 2009, I think. I was on
Yeah.
Aftermath. It was 2009. And
Shout
Kyle
out
and
to
I
my
were actually
TK
pretty,
fam. Let's go.
yeah, Kyle and I were actually pretty good friends, and we would talk on the phone all the time. And he was always like, what should I do? How do I want to become a professional paintball player? How do I do it out here? And I would always tell him, dude, you got to move to California. Move here. We'll figure it out. Get transferred, get a job here. And, we could get you a spot on the Aftermath semi-pro team and you just start working your way up. But like the pro teams are here and you need to
That's
be
right.
here to get noticed. These teams don't want to fly you in. I mean, unless you're
No.
really good, but as a
Yeah.
young and upcoming kid, you got to make a lot of sacrifice. And
That's right.
Kyle, at the time, he actually was living in Tampa. He was born and raised in North Carolina. Then he lived in Tampa, and was working a full-time job and also playing paintball and trying to pursue this dream. And we would talk every day. And finally, after like a year, he finally was like, "All right, dude, I'm doing it."
Yeah, I'm
So
out of here.
he packed his car. He literally packed everything he owned. He told his job. He worked at True Religion at the time, which is a jean company, clothing
Yeah.
company. Packed everything, told his job he's on it. He's going to California, and that's it. So he came out to California. He stayed with me for a couple weeks, and then he stayed. Actually, Mike Hinman let him stay with him for a couple months.
A little
But
side
I
note.
remember when
I think Kyle met Ariana Grande at that True Religion store somewhere out there. He was telling me that he got her number
yeah,
out there.
he did, and it was before Ariana Grande blew up, but he did. He
Yeah.
absolutely did. Well, so he
Dude, you
says.
blew it on that, Kyle.
So
You
he
should have
says.
called her.
I know. He says that like she wasn't that cool and
Yeah.
like wasn't even that hot, I guess, but dude, I don't know, it's Ariana Grande.
Oh
I feel like
man,
she's
it's a
probably
whole
always pretty
different ball
hot.
game now.
Whole different ball game, yeah. But no, apparently at that Tampa store, she came in, was shopping at his True Religion, and like he got her number and then never connected
Yeah.
with her, which is crazy. But and
Oh.
again, it's before she was famous, before she blew
Yeah.
up. We're
Yeah.
talking like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he moves out here with no job, not much money to his name, no place to live, just
Lot of heart.
true faith and a lot of heart that he's going to pursue a paintball dream. And, sure enough, he did. I remember we went like every single day when he moved here to find him a place to live. We met a bunch of different roommates and finally got him situated in a place that he was comfortable with. And he went around and was looking for different jobs. He ended up working, his first job here was at the True Religion at one of the major malls here in San Diego. And then after that, he got a good job at Nordstrom, started doing really well there. And I mean, now Kyle Spick is a household name in the paintball world. He's won world titles. He's been MVPs of World Cups. He's crushed it. He teaches the game all over the world. He's traveled to just about everywhere you could travel to play paintball. He's done it. And it's all because he risked it all. He said, you know what, I'm going to leave my life behind as I know it. And I'm just going to go all in on this dream. and see if it works out. And it worked out for him. And he's, doing fantastic now. And I absolutely love Kyle. I know we both do.
Yeah,
He's one
me
of our
too.
best friends, man. Kyle's just an amazing person. And he's an amazing player as well. He's a great teammate. Impact is very lucky to have him this year. And
Yeah.
he really just created that for himself. He decided, look, I'm just going to get up and do this. And, I'm not going to
No
worry
quit.
about the what ifs it doesn't work. Yeah, no quit. He just continued, because I'll tell you what, when he came out here too, he got a spot on the Aftermath semi-pro team. He actually got cut and was treated pretty
That was
badly.
crazy. I
And
remember that.
yeah, and it was like,
Fun
oh man,
times.
well, what's he going to do now? He kept grinding, he kept working hard, and then Ironmen were going through a rebuild, and Skinny Kevin was the coach of the Ironmen at the time, and he was like, you know what, this kid is young and hungry, let's try to pick him up. So Skinny Kevin and the Ironmen picked him up, and that was when he really started to flourish. He's like,
That's
okay,
right. Yeah.
maybe this kid can play some ball at the pro level. He had some pretty good seasons, 2011, 2012. He played pretty damn good. And then he went to Dynasty, and the rest is history. I mean, from Dynasty, he really evolved into who he is now. And I mean, it's just true testament to what it takes, like sacrificing it all, perseverance. Kyle does not come from a wealthy family. He's always had to support himself. As a matter of fact, he supports, shout out to his mom. His mom is amazing. I absolutely love her.
Love her.
Karen Spick is the greatest.
See Karen some more.
I would love to see Karen again. She actually came out with her mom, and her mom and Kyle spent Christmas with us a couple years in a row when Kyle first moved here. So, a lot of love to that family, but
Best
they don't
people
come
in the world. Yeah.
But they don't come from a ton of money. It's not like Kyle was spoon fed through this. He worked his ass off to get there, and sacrificed a lot. And
that's it.
That's the climb. And that's the whole point of this episode. Like, what does it take to make your way through the ranks? You got to be willing to go through some serious adversity. You got to be willing to risk it. You got to be willing to sacrifice the easy path. And I'll tell you what, how bad do you want it is right. And I'll tell you what, the reward is worth it. That's the thing that this game has given us. And it's not necessarily monetarily worth it. Again, we've talked about this. Like, you can make some money, but my goodness, man, what the game has given us is...
The experiences are unprecedented. I mean, you can't even begin to explain the types of places we've been able to see, just the brotherhood that we've had together, traveling around the world, playing paintball tournaments, living in schlep hotels or these rundown spots, and then also living in some really rad spots that are really nice. Like
totally.
We've had the whole barrage of everything, and it's all from paintball. It's all from what this beautiful game has given us. And it's not about making $1 million or $100,000, or anything really. I would literally play paintball for free just to hang out with Marcello, just to hang out with, Alex Frazier and Rye and Yarber, all the dudes on our team. We have the best team in the world. And that is what it's all about. Do it for the deep rooted passion reasons, for the grit and grind. Do it for the pile, man. Do it for the game. It's play the game, man. It's just really a spectacular game. And if you apply yourself and you throw the caution to the wind and you stay diligent and work hard, you can have a story like Kyle Spica too, or Marcello or myself. We've had a really long journey. I know I've been playing for well over 15 years pro. I know that Marcello has been playing for the same amount of time, and it was not easy, and it's not supposed to be easy. You got a lot of bruises, a lot of broken bones, and a lot of tough times that you got to go through, but it will all be worth it, and that's the point.
Couple torn knees.
A couple torn knees. It's a full deal. And Marcello is one of the few people who has the grit and grind to say, okay, I got a blown out knee. I'm gonna be above it. I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna apply myself. And he does that like nobody you've ever seen. Like his rehabilitation through his surgeries is such a success story, and such a story of determination to not let anything hold him back ever. And that's something that is very rare to find. And if you can find that in yourself, you can have these big success stories, but you have to dig deep. It's not going to be easy, but it will be worth it when you look back on it and you're able to say, I won that world championship with my brothers, or, I was able to pull through that hard time. That's what it's all about right there.
Whew. Yeah, man. Damn, I totally agree. Thank you so much for the love right there, Ty. It means a lot.
Dude, seriously, but again, your story is unprecedented.
And yours too, though. But I think that's also, again, why we just have always been such good friends and connected, and that's
Yeah.
why we make such good teammates, because it's that same kind of fiber, that same cloth,
Yeah.
and that's just truly what it takes to reach the height of anything you're going to do, is you have to be able to persevere. We're going to talk about this through and through in probably every episode. Mindset, we did a full episode on it, but
Yeah.
that one episode doesn't even cover the
No.
depths that mindset, entails. Like, that's going to go,
Hmm.
it's going to be in every single episode, I'm sure, because it's such a big part of both of our
Yeah.
successes.
Yeah.
And it's so important to be able to overcome things and be able to, again, set a goal and sacrifice for that goal. It's a very important thing.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to work your way up through the ranks, you're going to have to choose at some point: go to this party
Yeah.
or show up to practice fresh.
Hmm.
Go to this dance, show up to this practice fresh. Go out to dinner a couple times, or be able to save money for paint. Buy a couple beers
Yeah.
or save money for paint. Like, you're going to have choices, throughout your life. And those are just a few little details, but there's always going to be a choice.
That's
And
right.
if your choice isn't in the direction of bettering you and making you that much closer to your goal, then it's probably the
Hmm.
wrong choice. And that's so
Yeah.
important to understand. And it truly is a mindset. It's an overall way of
Yeah.
thinking that has gotten Tyler to the place that he's at. It's gotten myself to where I'm at. I can say this through and through.
Hmm.
Like, it's always been, my decision has always been based around, is this getting me closer to my goal?
That's
And
right.
you have to be honest with yourself. Do you really want to be a professional paintball player, or do you
Yeah.
just think you want to be a
It
professional
sounds
paintball
fun.
player? Yeah. Or do you
Yeah.
really want to be a CEO, or do you just want the title
The
of a
idea.
CEO?
Yeah.
These are important questions to ask yourself. That's the
Yeah.
first thing. It's where you got to start.
Well, and it's
If
not
you,
for everybody, right? I mean, these
it's
are
not for everybody.
it's you know it's a mother effer sometimes. It's
Yeah.
just it's brutal. Like some of the things you got to go through, um, owning a company, being a professional athlete, and you know you're not going to have an easy road. You got to work. You got to be physically ready. You got to be mentally ready. You have to be the best possible teammate you can be, and the best business person if you go that route. So you got to be sharp, and it's really got to be what you want, because it isn't for everybody, and that's totally fine. You just got to be honest with yourself. That's it.
Totally. Got to be honest with yourself. You got to ask yourself that decision. Is this what you really want to do? Now,
Yeah.
once you make that decision, once you decide, yes, it is what you really want to do, then be willing to sacrifice anything for
Hmm.
it, right? Like, that's really
Yeah,
what it takes. I can't tell
that's
you
right.
how many birthday
Skin in the
parties,
game. You got to have it.
bachelor parties. My friends to this day, they ask me this year. Actually, it's funny. I mean, Ty, we're getting a little bit older, so I'm starting to see more of it. But a couple of my friends from high school, good friends, that we kept in touch. We gained some distance between us, but we kept in touch because they were part of my closer circle in, like, middle school and high school.
Yeah.
They're getting married right now, and they're having, like, bachelor parties and
Hey.
weddings. And I'm looking at my calendar and I'm like, oh, dang, I'm in Australia that weekend. And oh, we have practice for Vegas this weekend. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to miss practice for Vegas for the bachelor party. And so I tell my friends, like, hey, I love you guys to death. I'll do anything to make it up. Like, if we could go during the week, I'll take you out to lunch. I'll send you
Yeah.
gifts, whatever it is. But I
Yeah.
can't miss what
Well,
I'm
and
dedicated to,
that's
and
right. That's where your priorities are, right? And that's why you're able to accomplish goals, because you have your priorities right. And that's the biggest thing. And it's hard to do. It sounds like so much fun. I want to go party with my friends and do all this, but you're only going to hurt yourself, spend your money, and God knows what else.
totally.
So just if you just stay diligent and stay focused and make the right choices, like you're saying, Marcelo, you can create anything into your experience here. You just got to make the right choices and do it for the progression of yourself. And if you want to climb that ladder, you want to be a pro paintball player, then damn it, make the choice and just stick to it and do it. And that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Where there's a will, there's a way, man. And you're always going to overcome if you, again, just stay focused and stay absolutely diligent and
Yeah.
in that quest. And it's, again, sacrifice. It's about that. But
Yeah.
you know what? Look, there needs to be a nice balance too. There's times where you have to let loose and have a little bit of fun as well. So don't get
Of
me
course.
wrong. Ty and I are not
It is a
above
balance. You're
having a
right.
good Ty and I are not above having a good
Oh
time
yeah.
and and all of
We'll
that
tear
stuff,
it down.
so 100%. But look, there's a balance, and there's you have to
A
be real
time
with
and a
yourself.
place.
You
Yeah.
got to be very honest with yourself, and you have to pursue your goals and not let things get in the way, right?
Yeah.
And really,
Yeah. I
that's what
mean,
it's about at the end of the day.
like when I was a kid, I was 13 years old when I got asked to try out for Bob Long's Assassins, right? And I pretty much crapping myself, you know. Yeah, these guys are like grown men, and they're like they're with it. They're with it. You know what I'm saying? They're rowdy, and they're probably the most ruthless team at the time, like the most feared team. So I'm
Assassins were a good name.
yeah, I was pooping myself a little, and then I went out to practice, and I was doing good. You know, I was getting eliminations. I was going down the snake and getting some kills, and it was really funny. Like we were playing Avalanche, and this was when Avalanche was like, or sorry, Cap. This is when Cap Avalanche merged, and they were like a big powerhouse team at the time. And Dave Baines was on the team, and I did really well at the practice. I'll never forget. I shot a guy, and they're like, "You got shot by a baby." They're like, that little guy got you.
Yeah.
And then Dave at the end of the practice, the thing he told me that I'll never forget my whole life, he was just like, kid, you're gonna have a future here. You just need to really stay humble and keep working hard. And if you
Dave
can
who?
just Dave Baines.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So Dave was like, just stay humble and work hard and keep doing what you're doing because you obviously love what you're doing, and you're gonna have a great career, And I never will forget those words, to just stay humble and stay ground floor, stay for the culture, for the players, and you can have a lasting career. And that goes for anything. Just be humble and work hard and do the proper steps, and you too can have a lasting career in whatever you choose. And hopefully it's paintball. We want a lot of people playing the game. I know all you guys out there tuning in love paintball. So just keep growing it and nurturing it.
Yeah, that's a fact. Ty, I want to give the listeners some easy things to work on,
Yeah.
uh, to show up. Like if they're going to a tryout, say if they want to get noticed by a team, or if they're trying to um, basically make the jump from like D3 to
Yeah.
D2, D2 to D1, what should these guys be doing? What should they be working on?
Absolutely. Depending on your position on the field, you should be doing different things. So if you're a lead front player, when you show up to practice, you need to have a cutthroat mentality, and you need to be ready to go and get gritty and do the work. And what we expect of a front player is to go and hopefully get a couple of these guys out of the front field for us and get a cross field shot, something of that nature. That way, you alleviate a portion of the field for your mid player to come in and close the game out. So if you're a front player, you need to be having the mindset of going and attacking, connecting with your players as well. Just because you're in the front doesn't mean you can't talk. We need our front players to be, most of the time, you guys in the front have the best information. So you got to try your hardest to shoot that information back. And also give your midfield something to work with. They don't know what you're dealing with unless you're talking to them. Okay, if you're a mid player, we need you to obviously stay alive and be vocal. You got to be connecting the field. And you got to be supporting your front guy to let him know exactly what's going on and how he can best do the most damage. It's paintball is not easy. It's a game of chess. You've got to be using your mind, and you got to be attacking the field and working together. And the back line, really, you just got to stay alive and help your mid and front players. And essentially, you're going to be the guys that are going to close out the game. So you got to be there for the end of the game and for all the information. If you're trying to make a team, show that you're there for the long haul. Do the extra stuff, carry paint, load pods, help your teammates. Say, can I help you in any way? Be a team player. The best team players are going to go the furthest. If you're a great team player, I'm going to want to have you around me. Uh, go above and beyond to be the greatest teammate you can possibly be. Don't be someone that's all like sour puss face and nagging about stuff. Do stuff for the betterment of the team and be positive and boost. And you're going to see that that's going to take you so far on your team. And I'm sure you have some stuff you can add as well, Marcello.
Not after that, I don't. I mean, no, you're right. Yeah, look, 100% all of that stuff. Be a good teammate. That's the advice that I always give to people when they tell me they're going to a tryout. What can they do? How can they get noticed? How can they get the coach to, favor them over the other people at the tryouts? I always kind of bring it back to, look, go out there and communicate. When you're on the field, just communicate, because they're going to notice you, because one, you're talking, they're forced to notice you. And then when you're communicating, it shows that you care about the team. Communication is such an important part of the game. It's huge. It's crucial.
It's almost everything.
Yeah. And so if a coach sees that you show up and you're trying to communicate the whole time, and you're also receptive of criticism, he's going to be wanting to work with you.
Yeah.
That's what coaches look for. They want somebody that they can mold. They want to be able to say, okay, that player, look, he's here for the betterment of the team, and we can mold him. He doesn't have an ego.
Mm-hmm.
We can kind of shape him into what we need. We're likely to pick him up. Pro teams are no different. When players come up and they're like, hey, I want a spot on Dynasty, it's like so cocky. And I look at him as, who are you? Who are you? Well, what team do you play for? Okay, let's come out and play, I guess, and then they get skunked, and they look stupid. Because truly, and just to put them on blast, that's how it is. It goes, don't say that. That's not the way to approach it. Instead, come up and say, hey, I would love to play for this team. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. So what do you need from me as a coach? And like, that's what I would do. If I was coming up, I would go up to a coach and say, hey, what are you looking for? What do you need me to do today for the team? Not what do I need to do to go get the most kills? Coach, what do you need me to do for the team? You want me to sit in this bunker and shoot cross and not let them in the snake the whole game? Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do just that. 100%. I'm going to do it great. I'm not going to then, as soon as the game starts, I'm not going to start searching for kills. I'm going to do the job that you wanted done.
Yes.
Right. Stay focused on game plans, and stay, communicative with the coach about what they want, what they expect. And that's going to take you a long way, because coaches are going to say, damn, this kid, this, guy, girl, man, woman, whatever it is someone that we can work with. They're for the betterment of the organization.
That's right.
And that's huge. That's going to be the biggest thing that's going to help you propel yourself into the next, stage of your career. You always need to be working on your fundamentals. You need to have an immaculate snapshot. You got to be great at running and shooting. You got to be able to shoot people off the break. If you can do those things, that gets your foot in the door, which is great. But once you get your foot in the door, then it's a whole nother realm of paintball theory, experience, and, all the other stuff. But you got to constantly be working on your drills. That's something that Tyler and I know have done, from square one. And, beyond that, you have to be receptive to information. You have to be a good teammate. So I'm surprised that I was able to add so much, because Tyler, honestly, I feel like you nailed it, dude. And like, I was just kind of forcing some stuff out there, which I truly believe in, but I mean, you nailed it. And it is so true. That is truly how you work your way up through the ranks. And I hope you guys out there understand that. Be a good teammate. Be humble. Don't be a punk. When you go to the field, don't be a punk. Don't, don't point fingers when you guys lose. Actually look inward and say, damn, guys, I'm sorry. I should have done this better. And then you can get into the conversation of what you think your teammates could have done better. Point at yourself first. Figure out what
you gotta. I'm telling you, if you guys would just boost each other through the shit, through the down times, through the bad times. Sorry if I curse, but you gotta. That's what's gonna happen. There's gonna be some times that are just a wash, and you gotta boost through those, because it's in those times that people show their true colors. And then that's what's great about paintball. You really see everyone's true colors on a paintball field and off, when it's all hitting the fan. And we got to just remember to stay calm, stay collected, boost, ask good questions too. Ask good questions on the field, right? If, we talk about how communication is so important, and it is literally one of the most fundamental aspects of paintball. There's really not much to it. People say, well, what should I be talking about? There's only a few things you need to talk about out there. You need to ask the question, okay, where are they? Obviously, right? How many of them are there? What's the G count? What's the ball count? And where are my guys at? What are we doing? Once you've established where they are, where we are, what the G count and ball count is and figured out that kind of information, you can start to formulate an idea of how to break the game open. And then we talk about this on Dynasty all the time. The next level to that idea is, okay, now how do I win the game? How do I break this down? What do I do with all this information? And that's all going to be stuff that you guys are going to learn over time of just practice and trial and error. But it's really all based on that communication.
100%. And you know what? Actually, something very important to give a shout out to, because Ty, when you and I were growing up, clinics weren't a thing.
No, they weren't.
I never had an opportunity to go to a clinic. BKI
No,
obviously wasn't.
I got my head beat in by all these pros.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It was not, there was no opportunity to go to a clinic. There was no BKI combine, which is one of the most amazing things in paintball to me. I'm so glad that you and I both get to work with the BKI crew. Again, shout out to the BKI crew, Ant, Lori, and all the professors, all
the best people ever, man.
Absolutely. And all of the players that have come together to make this happen. There's a reason we've working your way up through the ranks is not as hard as it used to be. We now have with BKI once a year, you can come and showcase your skills in front of a ton of top pros, top coaches. We had Rusty Glaze, Greg Pauly. These are coaches of some of the better organizations that, run the league. And we had, this last year was insane. And we had myself, Ryan Greenspan, Nick Sloviak, Jason Edwards, Kyle Spica, Keith Brown. We're off the top of my head. I think I'm missing a few. At the actual Florida Combine, you and myself, we were at the Boston Combine, right?
Yeah,
like the BKI program is amazing. This summer, we've got me, Ryan Greenspan, Nick Sloviak, Kyle Spica, Nick Laval for the BKI summer camp. So now there's all these programs that you can insert yourself into and get noticed by pros. Because that was always the biggest thing. If you didn't live in an area where there was a professional organization or players, it was really tough.
You had nowhere to go.
You had nowhere to go. Kyle had to drop and move everything. Now we're offering you an opportunity to get noticed, which is, that's why it's been such a passion project, especially for myself. Like, I want players to have this opportunity. And so building something with BKI has given us the chance to give this to players, where players have an opportunity to come and showcase their skills, just like every other sport has. The NFL Combine, the NBA Combine, athletes can go and showcase their skills in front of people. Yeah. Paintball hasn't had that until, the last couple of years, recently, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So look, if you guys are not involved, if a professional comes to your local area and you don't go to their clinic, that's really silly. I don't care, who it is. There's some pros that I don't think teach the game as well as it could be taught, but I still believe they will teach you, if you're a divisional player, much more than if you didn't go.
Right.
And it's so valuable to go to these things. BKI has an entire online program. I actually have a great course on there. Not a shameless shout or anything. I just truly believe in it. I have an entire series.
And it is, man. All that content is gold.
Totally. I have an entire series on film review. So, on the BKI website, we go through different big matches and tournaments, and I break down each move, each play, thought by thought, what happened, what went wrong, what should have happened. And there's no better way.
If you want to climb the ranks, what better way to do that than having an in-depth knowledge of how to accomplish those goals? It took us years to be able to figure those types of things out, and you can get them in moments and have an in-depth insight into that.
Totally. So there's so much more access to information. You just can't be lazy. That's what blows my mind is like, I'll have kids come up and say, I want to turn pro. What does it take? I'm ready to come out to a dynasty tryout. And I say, okay, well, who do you play for? What do you do? When's the last national event you've been at? And the answers are, I play D2 for this team. We get 5th place. Okay. Are you have you been to a clinic? Have you done anything? No, I don't need to go to those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't you just walk down the other side of the field, Marcello?
Right. This conversation's over. I'll see you on the pro day one day, maybe. But it's look, put in the work. I know when I was a kid, if these programs were available, I would have been signed up right away. I would have digested every single second of all of them because there's so much. And look, dude, I don't care if you sign up for our thing or not. I just want you guys to know that there are programs and platforms
That's right.
available to help you. And look, there's free stuff online too. Ryan has a bunch of free stuff on YouTube. I have free stuff on YouTube. Jason Edwards has done a really good job of building some like knowledgeable things. There's free content out there as well. And I just hope you guys are digesting it and doing everything you can to be the best that you
Absolutely.
can, because that's what it takes.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier now to learn about this stuff than it was before. You can watch the webcast. If you're not watching the webcast every single pro game, then what are you doing? Truly, what are you doing? Because you should be watching all of the Go Sports footage to see how the pros are actually making these moves and what's going on, So
it's very true, man. Today we have more capabilities of watching paintball than we ever have in the since paintball's been created. We've never had anything like this, a database like that. Also with Go Sports and what the NXL is doing, we've never been able to watch pro paintball on your phone or on a TV. Are you kidding me? Like, I mean, it's unreal for me to look at it today, because I know that when I was a kid, if they would have had it on my phone or TV, I would have never put it down. I would have never stopped watching, So the database
100%.
that we have is just unreal today. And if you're not taking advantage of that and you want to be a pro paintball player, there's really something wrong with your formula there. You have all the tools at your disposal. It's time for you to pick them up and start using them and start implementing all of it.
Yeah, absolutely, Ty. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if I had much more to add on this, to be honest. Unless you do, I think that's a great way to kind of wrap up this episode, but
yeah, stay sharp, man, mentally. And I agree, Marsh. I think that we've covered a lot of the climb and what it takes. But just the mentality is huge. You got to stay sharp mentally. You gotta really want it. If you want it, you'll create it. And that's really the bottom line. Just dig deep and go for it.
I agree, Ty. Dig deep, go for it. You're going to have to make sacrifices along the way. Take advantage of all the available outlets and do everything you can to pursue the goal. Look, it's all in the little details always. You got to do the little things better than your opponent. That's the name of the game. Stay diligent in that kind of stuff, guys. But other than that, man, honestly, thank you all for tuning in. As usual,
thank you, guys.
From the bottom of our hearts, we're going to say this probably every time because we're just so excited to share this journey with you guys. But thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to have so much more content coming to you guys. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, please reach out on our social media pages. Go to the Play the Game podcast Instagram page. Send us a DM. Send us something, a comment on one of the pages. If you have questions, we are happy to answer them. We will probably implement them into a show as well. We want to be totally integrated with you guys. We want you guys to be connected with us. We're not sitting up on a platform talking to you guys. We want to talk with you guys. So please, again, just join us on this journey and stay tuned. Please subscribe. Please follow all of our channels. Support us so that we can continue bringing you guys tons of content. But shout out, man. Much love, guys. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you guys so much. That's what we're here for, connecting with the people, connecting with paintball and all the businesses. And we love you so much. Thank you, guys.
Peace.
Peace.